I'm going to warn you now. This rant is going to be a bit disjointed until the end, as we're going to be talking about two different but relating topics until then, so buckle up, buckaroos. Now, perhaps one of the biggest issues I found myself dealing with as a Paradox-themed YouTuber is the fact that many of my guides, hints, tips, and generalized information is often relegated from new viewers because what I talk about is kept behind a paywall. While it is possible to go back and disable some DLC for the sake of better understanding the base game issues people have, I don't think people realize just how much time goes into making videos already. Tacking on something that objectively would only work for a few viewers is a bit of a hard sell of jumping back and forth between game updates and loading screens. Therefore, I pretty much create every one of my guides, rants, and playthroughs with the mindset that everybody who is watching my videos happens to already own every DLC already released because that is all time permits me to do. As much as I'd like to, I can't redo each and every video for every single DLC released and then expect each one to get the amount of views necessary to make up for the time investment. Honestly, the best I can offer is an offhanded note when a feature that I know is based on a DLC and the occasional one-line alternative. So why am I in this position anyways? Why do I have to make such a hard decision to deliberately leave people behind who are much more likely to need help learning how to play the game in the first place? The answer to that problem comes from the frequency and complexity of the DLC structure used by Paradox. Feature creep in particular is a problem that they've always had, and I'm sure developers have pulled their hair out more than once dealing with major patches that have to dance around these features that are included by DLCs. What's worse is that this is completely ingrained into Paradox's culture. It has been going on for so long that I don't think that they will ever address it. It has effectively been their business model for decades. So I'm not going to pretend I know more than their team of MBAs and try to give them advice on that front. I doubt I could come up with a better business model in a 10-minute rant, so I won't even try. Rather, I'm going to focus on something that has been coming up a lot when I discuss the rather gargantuan success of Victoria 3's most recently added Charters of Commerce and its subsequent free patch 1.9. Over the past month, I've done a lot of research into their previous DLC lineups across their myriad of games, and I've compiled a list of DLC and patch combinations that were widely successful and ones that bombed so bad that they're considered never buys by the wider community. I will spare you the details, as the list I've compiled is quite long, although I might end up showcasing it to you guys in a future video dedicated to it. I will share with you, however, the conclusion that I've drawn from this list. Paradox's DLCs seem to only be truly successful when they address a problem that the community has with the game they're releasing the DLC for, and not just tacking on features for the sake of adding features. This especially is apparent when those new features absolutely destroy the balance of the game or are a buggy mess. A good example would be Leviathan. Leviathan was an absolute flop because it did not address any of the issues the community had with Europa Universalis 4 at the time. Worse, it completely destroyed the delicate balance players had become accustomed to by introducing badly balanced monuments plus the pillage and concentrate development mechanics. The feature creep was really bad here, and nobody asked for any of it. The accompanying patch 1.31 also had major issues with save corruption problems. When you look at it as a whole, it was just a mess. Comparatively, Common Sense and Art of War were some of the best DLCs ever released by Paradox. Common Sense gave players the capacity to drop idea groups along with the ability to manually upgrade your government rank. These were two things that I know people were clamoring for because I was clamoring for them at the time. Art of War, meanwhile, gave you the all-important ability to make use of your vassals and their casus belli, which sounds insignificant on the surface, but it was so game-changing that I don't think I could play Europa Universalis 4 without this mechanic anymore. It too was something that people have wanted for a very long time before it was given to them, and I know that because of the complaints in the forums before that time. For another example, people were very upset with the forced wide playstyle of early Stellaris. You were pretty much stuck expanding in all directions if you wanted any chance of surviving in the galaxy, so the developers responded with the wombo combo of patch 2.2 Le Guin and the Megacorps DLC. One completely overhauled how Stellaris played, while Megacorps was considered one of the few must-have DLCs at the time because it gave you the ability to play tall as a mega corporation. Not to mention, the still very meta Ecumenopolis was added through this DLC. Although, to be fair, people do hate Criminal Heritage Megacorps and they do miss the Nomad Civic, so Megacorps isn't so fondly remembered nowadays due to tall gameplay being possible without it, but it used to be the end-all be-all DLC until then, especially because Ecumenopolis are genuinely fun to have. Perhaps that's why I'm so confident when I talk about Charters of Commerce and the accompanying patch 1.9. I unabashedly glaze both without a hint of irony or shame in my mind, simply because I truly do believe that it's going to go down in Paradox history as one of the best. Granted, I consider Victoria 3 to be a lot of fun. Why would I make videos about it if I didn't believe that? But even I could see the writing on the wall the same as anybody else. If they didn't hit a home run with this particular DLC and patch combination, I'm willing to bet that the game would have eventually died on the vine. Now, I'm pretty confident that Victoria 3 is going to go down as a mainline game in the Paradox roster and not just the forgotten child. Much like how Megacorps and Patch 2.2 saved Stellaris, I believe Charters of Commerce and Patch 1.9 saved Victoria 3. Does this mean I expect every single DLC and patch combination to be a home run? Well, no. In all honesty, I'm worried for the future. As I said before, Paradox has a habit of feature creep in their DLCs. Law commitments have already become a nuisance for them to balance, and treaties themselves have a myriad of exploits. It still does the job of making Victoria 3 feel more like a market simulator with diplomacy rather than a map painter game. This is something the majority of the fanbase has wanted for ages, and they truly did deliver. The question is though, what do we want now? What would we like added that they could give to us in a future DLC? And will they keep throwing new features at us without further addressing ones that we do want fixed, like the much maligned Warfront system? I can't tell the future. Heck, I'm not even certain people will see the two subjects included in this rant as related enough to be worthy of being featured in the same video. All I can really say is, the DLCs have a tendency to go a little too far at times, and I would prefer to Paradox continue to focus on what the community wants fixed rather than what the developers themselves want to add to the game. The DLC success and failure ratings speak for themselves, don't they? The people want what they want, and what they have proven that they don't want is feature creep. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my TED Talk. I hope you still enjoy playing your favorite Paradox game in spite of it. Just always remember, Hail Hydra Cat.